And ultimately it's his bike, so he does decide what happens with the fat bottom girl. This is another video we got. So Kevin, let's start by laying out what you did and why we are here today having to take your primary apart again.
Well, I got a Darkhorse Motorsprocket to replace the stock compensator. I think that's a fantastic idea. And we were doing a little bit of work in here the other day on my clutch and the sprocket for the belt. And this is an oil deflector, and it comes with the Darkhorse Motorsprocket, and it goes in this area here, and it deflects oil inside and helps to keep that motorsprocket lubricated. So when we were cleaning the inside of the compensator and the inside of this here, the epoxy that I used let go, and so this came off. We had a ride booked, so I wasn't about to miss that, so we went for the ride, but now it's time to get back in here and fix this properly. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to drill a few holes in the backside of this so that when I push this on with the epoxy will ooze through and give it a good grab and hold, and so I'm pretty sure that it won't come off again, because that would be a real drag if it did, beating around inside here. So let's get at it. So first thing we got to do is we got to take the foot peg off, we got to take the shifter connection off, and then of course we got to get in and take all these primary bolts out. So you'll need a T45 Torx to get the footboard off, and you're also going to need a 9/16 wrench on the backside for the roll cage here. Nut on the back.
Then what?
Keep on rolling.
The nice thing is that your floorboard, get all the Harley guys will be, that's not a roll cage, that's not a kickstand, it's a...
Well, you can say, feel free to tell us what it is in the comments.
So that's just taking apart your shifter lever, right?
Yeah.
So it's a half inch on the front on that cone nut, and then on the back side it's just 7/16, and then that just pops out. Put that back on so you don't lose it, and then just set rest it aside. Perfect.
All right.
The nice thing about this is that you take those 3 bolts, it's kind of a triangle pattern, the one on the bar at the bottom, and then the entire assembly just like that, the jiffy stand, the floorboard, the shifter, it's all one unit. So you just take that off and put it aside. And then, yeah, we just put the nuts back in, or the bolts back in rather, so we don't lose them. And then, when you go to reassemble it, it's real easy. It just takes a couple minutes, and we'll talk about that when we're putting it back together. So you can see that triangular pattern right there of bolts. And then, of course, you're always going to drop something and it's going to disappear into another dimension.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it works.
Yeah. And you'll be looking and looking. Just vanished. Not like that's ever happened to us, though.
No, never.
Not even one time.
Not even one time.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the time I lost the battery bolt after 6 hours of working on your bike. Or the battery nut, I should say.
Or remember the time we lost that little brass piece up there for the throttle cable.
Oh, that was brutal.
Oh.
Just took forever to find it.
All right, so I got a 5/8 socket. First thing we're going to do is we're going to drop the primary fluid. So you'll find that right down here.
Show me again.
It's right here. 5/8.
Ooh, you put a extra ooga ooga on that one. I remember we were in a hurry and I asked you if you wanted to torque that to the proper torque specification and you said it's torqued.
That's right.
So I think you put that a little too tight.
Actually, no, I actually had this backwards and I was tightening it. Remember everybody, lefty loosey, righty tighty. All right. There we go. Ooh.
Now what's the first thing you want to do with that plug?
Well, we certainly want to take a look and see if there's any
metal, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a magnet in the end of that plug.
Yeah, so this kind of stuff is totally fine, but you're feeling to see, and
if it's real bad, you'll see.
If it's gritty.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you'll even see larger pieces that are visible.
So once we get the plug out, we'll let that drain.
Then you're going to take the bolts off the primary, right? So why should you use a hand tool to loosen them at the beginning?
Well, it's always good just to crack them before hitting anything with the power tool. You know, so.
Because if you just hit it with a power tool, what could happen?
You could definitely do some damage.
Strip it?
You could strip it. Because you have to remember, these are all Loctited. So you want to go around and loosen those off. All right, so we got a 3/16 Allen here with the ratchet. I'm just going to go and I'm just going to crack these, and then I'm going to grab the old impact and pull them out just to save some time. But it's always good to crack them first instead of just hitting it with a power tool.
So just remember, loosen your primary bolts. Just loosen them by hand at the beginning. Don't use that power tool just yet. But once they're all loose, you can use your power tool to speed it up, save a bit of time. Now, there's definitely a pattern to tightening the bolts. Kevin, does it much matter when you're loosening them?
Not really.
Yeah. Like I personally do it the same pattern, but that's because I'm a bit OCD. Kevin's a little, he's a little more like his derby cover there, riding free. Okay, Kevin, so now that those are loosened by hand, you're going to use a power tool to take the rest of the primary bolts all the way out. Now you've got a DeWalt there, which is typically a construction tool. It's not typically in the shop. So we don't have our nice Milwaukee set of impacts yet. But what did you use to make that DeWalt work for you?
Well, I still got the 5mm, but I just got an adapter. Pretty simple. You can find those at any hardware store.
And allows you to go to that driver, and now we're good to go.
So once this cover comes off, even though we've drained it, there's going to be residual fluid in here. So it's always a good idea to lay out a rag because it is going to puke oil all over the place.
So now you're putting the plug back in.
Just by hand.
Yeah, and the reason we do that is because we always forget, and then we go to put primary oil in there and spill it all over the place. So we put it in by hand, but you still can't forget to torque it down.
That's never happened. So when you're taking these primary bolts out, you're going to have long ones, and you're going to have short ones.
Right.
So pay attention to what goes where. All the long ones are going to be in the front side here, where your sprocket goes, and then all the short ones the rest of the way around. If you notice, when I was going around, I pulled this one out, but I didn't take it out all the way, and that's just so that once I get them all out, it just doesn't drop down. So now you can kind of control it. Voila, the beauty of the inner primary. So as you can see right here, this was the epoxy that didn't hold on to this, which goes here. So this deflects oil right into this area here of the motor sprocket. So we're gonna install this a little bit better this time. And we're going to use JB Weld high temp epoxy to do it. Yeah, so before we do the JB Weld epoxy, you can see that this here epoxy, there's air bubbles underneath it. It's moving, and it's also coming off the wall here. So we're going to do our best to remove as much of this as possible before we apply the new stuff. All right. So what I'm going to do here, I already got one hole drilled, but I'm going to drill a few holes in here so that when I epoxy it, the epoxy is going to ooze through and it'll act as a good anchor. Of course, you could try and scratch this up with a wire brush or something like that, but I think that these holes will probably be far superior.
And we'll probably put a little sand on it too, so. $5, right? He puts it right through his finger. Oh, no. Okay.
Maybe this time.
Maybe this time. Double or nothing.
If that happens, I'll just rub a little dirt in it.
The way it's supposed to be done.
Woo! So I've got some high heat JB Weld here. This is good for 232 degrees Celsius. So this should hold us. And basically just follow the directions. So it's got a easy twist here. Comes with a handy little mixing tray in the package itself. So I'm just going to squeeze some in here. Cap back on.
See, this is the thing about the whole wrench and ride concept, right? Is like, you can do this. This is, I mean, let's face it, if Kevin can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you definitely could do it, because Kevin's more talented than I am in some respects.
I don't know about that. All right. Okay.
So you're going to get that JB Weld on there. Make sure it goes through the holes. And when you compress it, it's going to squeeze through those holes, right? And make kind of like a plug.
Absolutely.
And then it'll adhere on both sides. And hopefully that will be problem solved. Because if we hadn't caught this,
it was going to be a problem.
It was going to be a problem, because I was going to let go, and then it was going to go through
all of our beautiful gears.
Yeah.
And clutch.
And
Motorsprocket.
No good, man. No good.
Bueno.
Speaking of Motorsprocket, if you guys want it, if you've never seen a Darkhorse Motorsprocket that replaces the compensator, there it is. And that would have been so sad, because those suckers aren't cheap. They're about twice the cost of a like a Screaming Eagle compensator replacement part, but so much better, because you don't have to change it, and you can service it about every 20,000 miles.
On the bike.
Yeah, on the bike.
You don't have to replace it.
Exactly.
So
that's
if you want
why.
more information, go to the Darkhorse website.
Yeah, we'll put a link on the screen here and in the show notes.
And we are not sponsored by Darkhorse.
We just like
their product.
That's right.
All right.
We're also not sponsored by that bottle of scotch over there on the counter, but
So just as we had hoped, when I'm pressing this in, you can see it squeezing through those holes that I drilled.
right?
So that's going to act like an anchor. And it's going to hold that in there nice and tight.
And Kevin, how long does it take to cure?
15 hours.
All right. Yeah, take your time on this, because like we said, you do not want that. You see the way that squeezed right through there? Man, that's going to work just great. And the way he's doing it all around the edges, you do not want that sucker to let go.
But don't not install it.
Right.
Right.
Why is it there?
Well, this here. So this year of primary cover did not come with this in it.
Newer models did, right?
Models have this manufactured into it, just
Cast right into the
like
primary
these.
cover.
And what this does is, when your primary is on and you're chain's going around, it collects oil, and it makes sure that your motor sprocket or your stock compensator is getting lubricated well enough.
Right.
Because that is definitely important. All right, so it's been a full day, and this JB Weld's had a chance to cure up. As you can see, this oil deflector is in there nice and solid. And I think that's definitely going to do the job. I don't really have any more concerns. As you can see, those holes that we drilled, it oozed out. That is gripping good. So now we're going to go ahead and reinstall this primary cover, and we'll show you how to do that. All right, so we're going to reinstall this primary. First thing I like to do is line up all my bolts, make sure that I've got everything nice and clean. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply some blue Loctite. So if they're all lined up nicely like this, it's a pretty simple process. Little dab will do you all the way along. And then that way you're not messing around with each individual bolt. You don't want to put too much on. Like I said, just a little bit will do you. All right.
Kevin, before you do any further, you talked about it being clean. Now, let's say there's some old Loctite on the bolt. What's the best way of cleaning it?
Well, if you've got a handheld wire brush, you can do that. But obviously, a better and faster way to do it is if you have a wire brush on a machine like that, then that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, so we just use this wire wheel brush, turn that on, and you can clean up the bolt nice and easy on that. It gets rid of all the Loctite. Go.
All right, so you'll have your gasket, and as you can see, it's got a couple of larger holes. Those are going to fit on these sleeves right here, so you can install your gasket first, and it's going to hold it there for you. Then, as you can see, same thing. You got a larger hole here and a larger hole here, and that is going to make it so you can line up your primary cover and you're all set. So the 4 long bolts go in right here where we have the Darkhorse Man of War motor sprocket. So I'm just going to get these started. And of course, like Jamie mentioned earlier, there's a sequence for tightening these all up.
I'll show you that right now, guys, while he's putting those bolts in. So we just, we use the wall and we use marker so that we never forget. So here's a bunch of information about Nightbird. You haven't met Nightbird yet. That's my Road King. There's a bunch of information for the Softail Deluxe, aka Old School, aka Blue. There's a whole backstory there. Softail Deluxe is now lovingly referred to as Big Bottom Girl. We'll get to all of that a little later, but here is the sequence for your primary. So you start with the 1 bolt, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on that end. Then you do 10, 11, 12, and 13. And the torque spec for that, the primary cover torque spec is 108 to 120 inch-pounds. So we're going to get our torque wrench out in a moment. All right, so back to Kevin. Now, again, you kind of start everything by hand, right?
I do.
And then you're going to run the bolts in with your impact, but not completely tight. And then we're going to tighten it with a torque wrench, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Kevin, what size is that? It's a 3/16 Allen, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, so we use a combination of tools. We've got a lot of hand tools. So we've got this Allen key set that we use, but then we also have everything with a socket driver so that it's a little bit easier, especially if you're using your impact or if you're using a ratchet. Just while Kevin's finishing that up, I want to show you another thing here at Wrench and Ride Customs. What you'll notice, like I said, we write stuff on the walls so that we've got it and we don't have to keep looking up the spec. The other thing too is we keep a lot of extra parts, right? Extra gaskets, These are derby cover bolts and washers. You just never know when one of these is going to disappear into the void, as we say, and slip into another dimension. It's always nice to have a backup. Now, another thing that we do is we keep old parts that we've taken off the bike. We put them up on the wall. I don't know. I just do that because it is kind of nice to show the history of what you've been doing with your bikes. Okay, so now Kevin has hand tightened those bolts and he's using his impact and he's just getting it to where it's tight, not putting any kind of ooga on there. We do all that with the torque wrench to spec because we don't want that to be a problem down the road. Okay, so yeah, like we said, the torque spec is 108 to 120 inch-pounds for the primary cover. This would be applicable on a Softail, also on Nightbird, which is a Road King, which is a touring model. So it's the same torque spec for the derby cover. And so we've set our torque wrench right in the middle. We always do in the middle of the factory spec. So we're doing 110 inch-pounds for that.
So as Jamie showed you, we're going to follow the torque pattern. So I'm going to start down here.
Yeah, so that's why he's starting there. That's the 1 position, then 2, then 3, then 4. Yeah, that was the spec that was in the manual. That's why we write it on the wall, Kev. Because once we find the spec, you spend half your day looking for the specs again. And you're like, what? But you see how he's going top and bottom? And if you notice, he's just tightening them enough. He's not trying to make that torque wrench pop on each one. He's just getting it tight, evenly, following the pattern, going all the way around. Eventually, we're going to get that beautiful pop that tells us it's torque to spec. But in the meantime, you just have to progressively tighten everything up so that you're getting, there you go. So now we're getting somewhere. So remember that 11 hole is torqued. So we won't have to, oh, there we go. And now 13 is. And we're doing 10. All right. So now we're going to start back at 1. And there you go. You can hear it. It's, there you go. There's 2, now 3, now 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is the 2 front bolts. 7, 8. Now we're just going, we don't want to retorque anything, so we're just going to double check. We're going to do 9. Now we're going to go to 10, and that one already popped. Now we go to 11. 11 was good. Or was it? Maybe it was 12. There you go. 12. Good. 13.
Yeah, we know. This one's good.
And we know that one's good. All right, so now that's torque. Now, before you go any further, because what we have to do next is take the derby cover off and fill the primary. But before we do that, we only hand tightened the plug. This is something people forget all the time. And so we're going to go down here underneath to the primary cover plug, and we're going to use our foot-pounds torque wrench to torque that. So it's inch-pounds for the primary cover, but it's foot-pounds for the plug. And the drain plug, the spec according to Harley is 14 to 21 foot-pounds for drain plugs. That would be your oil, transmission, or primary cover. Now we're going to take our foot-pound torque wrench and we're going to set that. Okay, so like I said, the spec is 14 to 21 foot-pounds for drain plugs. So I like to go right in the middle, about 18. I just can't tell you how many times I've seen guys do this where they forget, they blow their plug out later because it vibrates loose, or there's no plug at all and they put fresh oil in and spill it all over. So here at Wrench and Ride Customs, we're pretty serious about that kind of stuff because we have learned the hard way. Okay, so now that that's torqued, what we're going to do is we're going to actually remove the derby cover so we can fill the primary. Okay, so this is a Torx and it's a T27, right, yeah. Kevin?
And same as before, we're just going to go ahead and just, these are all Loctited, yeah. So you want to be gentle. We're just going to crack them. And then we'll use the impact to speed up the process.
And when we go to tighten this back on, I'm just going to go back to our trusty wall here. The derby cover, it's like that 5-star pattern, right? So that's how you tighten it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, that's why we draw it on the wall, so we don't have to look every time we do this. Although we've done it so many times now, it kind of comes natural.
So when you're taking the derby cover off, make sure you leave the top one in and take that one out last.
Because you don't want to take that nice brand new ride-free derby cover and smash it on the pavement.
Smash it.
Smash it and get it all scratched up. And then what are you going to do when you go to a show and shine? You got a scratched up derby cover. You're going to look like a goof. And that bark in the background is Oreo, a vicious 8-pound Shih Tzu, which will be a constant feature in our videos.
So this is a good opportunity to check your gasket. Make sure that you don't have anything rolled over and that it's still sticking up above the lip. It's not flattened out.
Yeah.
And it's also an opportunity to make sure that you have old Loctite. So you can just flick that out. Usually comes out pretty simple.
Now, one thing I want to comment on is that derby cover is an updated derby cover with the new gasket.
All right. So some of you may have a derby cover gasket that looks like this. And I believe the part number is right on it.
It is 25416-99C.
All right.
Now take that gasket and show the actual derby cover that it goes with. There you go.
That goes with the flat derby cover. That's the back side. That's the front side.
Yeah, so that was the original derby cover on this bike.
Derby cover. So you may have this style of gasket. Now, if you have a derby cover that has this groove in it, like that, this is the style of gasket that you want to use right here. And the part number is right there.
Yeah, so it's the Harley part number 17369-00 or 06, just 10. Mm-hmm. And that is a great kit because it comes with the O-rings for your plugs and it comes with a derby cover gasket. Basically change those every time you are doing any surface work at all.
All right, so as you can see, we have good old assembled in the USA from parts made from China. So they packaged this in the United States, but these parts are made in China. All right. All right, so whenever you're installing parts where previous Loctite has been, it's always a good idea to come and take a look. And as you can see in here, we've got some old Loctite, and it's always a good idea. We're going to cover up this primary hole so we don't get any of that in there. And we just want to scrape this out.
Why is that?
Well, what ends up happening is it builds up over time and it can actually cause damage to your threads, and it can also build up in the backside, and when you go to torque it, you're going to end up doing damage to the primary cover itself.
And then you got to buy a new primary cover.
And then you're just going to be Harley poor.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
That's a real thing. All right, so here we prefer to use AMSOIL. I'm a real big believer in AMSOIL. I use AMSOIL in all of my motor products, including my beloved Fat Bottom Girl here. So now this is a trick that we learned. There is a specific funnel that you can use for this. But what we found is that if you just get and you just pour it right over that nut, as you can see, she just runs right down nicely. You just got to take your time and pour it slowly.
So Kevin, while you're doing that, I noticed that that's actual AMSOIL primary fluid. Now, according to Harley and other aftermarket sources, you can use 20W50 in all three holes, transmission, engine, and primary. We don't do that. We use the AMSOIL primary fluid. We use gear oil for our transmission, and we use the 20W50 motor oil for the motor.
And what gear oil do we use for the transmission? 7590. Because there is a 14090 out there, which is a little too heavy. So make sure if you're using the gear oil, you want to use the 7590. And the reason why we use the gear oil as opposed to transmission fluid or the 2050, which we've tried, is it provides way smoother operation, smoother shifts, way less clunking. That's just our personal opinion based on the experiences that we've had. feel free to try it out for yourself, but I would definitely recommend that 7590 from AMSOIL. So there's an oil change kit for motorcycles on Amazon. And if you put in Harley-Davidson oil change kit, this funnel will be in there. Along with this one, which if you guys have ever changed your oil filter, you know that could be a real mess. All right, so now that we have our primary cover back on, I've went ahead and reinstalled the footboard and the shifter. I'm thinking that if you guys have the courage to take your primary apart, you can certainly figure out how to reinstall your footboard.
It's just the reverse of what we showed you to take it off.
Exactly. All right, so we filled the primary fluid. We showed you how to do that, our preferred method. But what I do want to show you is how do you know that your primary has the right level of fluid in it. First of all, you got to make sure your bike is level. All right, guys, so now we're going to check to make sure that we have the right level of fluid in our primary. So you're going to need a bright light, and I like to use a pick, but you could use a screwdriver, whatever works for you. But
just make sure it's clean.
Yeah, you're going to want to look down in here, and right at the base of the clutch basket, your fluid, you want it to be touching just the bottom. So if you remember what everything looked like, your clutch and chain and compensator, so the chain is fully engulfed in fluid, but you don't want it to go much higher than the very bottom of your clutch basket, or else you're going to have a hard time finding neutral. So this is full, looks good to me, so now we're going to reinstall the derby cover.
Yeah, and just when you're doing that, make sure the bike is level, right? So we've got it on the lift. It's nice and level. You just don't want it leaning over one side or the other. So again, we're going to do that same trick with the Loctite, right, on your derby cover bolts after cleaning them, like we showed you.
Yeah.
Blue Loctite, guys, not red, not green.
All right, so just like when we're taking it off, the first one that we want to put on is going to be the top one. And we'll just put that in and tight. And then we can go from there.
See, what I like about the new style derby cover is in the old style, remember that paper gasket? You always had to worry about kind of nicking the gasket and lining it up and stuff, but with this one you don't, so it's good. Just line it up with the holes and screw it in. That's what she said.
Oh, man. I was right there. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, and just as a disclaimer too, AMSOIL is not an affiliate of this channel. This is just our preferred fluids that we use. Not to mean that we wouldn't take some money if they threw it our way. But as of right now, they're not paying us to say that. It's our actual preference. Now, you notice how carefully he's screwing those in. He's not using the impact to crank those down. Just saving you a little bit of time. And the spec on this was inch pounds, remember? So for derby cover torque specs, it is 84 to 108 inch pounds, not foot pounds. See, derby cover torque specs. So again, we're going to go in the middle. So what are you going to pick, Kevin?
For me, I'm going to go 95.
95? All right.
All right, so we're going to start at number 1 at the top. We're just going to do star pattern. Again, I'm not looking to get this to click on the first time around.
Oh, no, up one. There you go. See? You got it.
Side.
Kevin and I have strong personalities, and we get along really, really well. But if we ever didn't get along, I think it would be epic.
All right.
And ultimately, it's his bike, so he does decide what happens with the fat bottom girl. Now, let me show you why we call it the fat bottom girl. Look at these beautiful bags. And then down here, oh yeah. Look at that, eh, Kevin?
Yep.
Got that tombstone headlight on there. Beautiful.
Right on. So those bags, again, we are not, actually, let's just say, we're not an affiliate or
for anybody, because we're brand new.
Yeah. So these bags are from Viking Bags. If you go to their website, they're out of the United States. And they build some really beautiful stuff. Custom stuff for the various different bikes that are out there, Harley-Davidson. And as you can see, I picked the Softail style of bag. You can get various different sizes, but this has a nice swoop to it, which fits the same swoop as the rear fender, gives it a real nice sleek look. So I'm really happy with the product. One thing I would recommend though is if you do get the bags and you want them to come on and off easily, spend the extra $100 and get the gear so that you can do quick release on and off.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.